Alright guys, so we're well into summer now, and most of the USA is experiencing a major heat wave. So we thought we'd take this opportunity to talk about how to make sure that your tanks and other enclosures aren't getting overheated now that it's getting really hot outside, and it can even get hot inside. Now, a lot of people do keep their temperatures in the house higher during the summer to save on that AC bill. So that of course means it's going to be hotter inside your home, and therefore it's going to be hotter inside the enclosure that you have your reptile in. This is why it's so important to check on those temperatures of your hot spots in your tanks to make sure that your animals aren't getting too hot. Now what you're going to want to do is either use a temperature gun like the one we have right here at our shop to instantly measure the temperature of the hot spot on the ground underneath your heat lamp. Now in this tank we got a log that's under the heat lamp, so for the hot spot we would probably measure the top of that log and probably kind of on that rock right there to measure the hot spot. Whereas in other places where you don't have a decoration like that, you'll want to measure directly on the ground beneath the middle of the heat lamp where the beam of light is hitting, and that'll be the highest temperature in your tank. For example, on Jake the Snake's, the ball python's tank right here, you see the heat lamp is right there. We would measure right about there. We would go ahead and measure it, and these temperature guns, they give you a instant reading. You don't have to wait a while for it to work. And you can also use one of these analog thermometers, these dial thermometers. However, these do take longer to heat up. These won't give you an instant reading, but you'll just be able to place them on the ground right underneath the lamp in the direct beam of light. And you'll have to wait a little while, but it'll give you a nice reading too. Just make sure you don't stick them on the glass, because that will give you an inaccurate reading. It'll probably give you a lower temperature reading than what it really is. Usually about 10 degrees lower or more. So you definitely don't want to measure it that way. Now, if you've gone ahead and taken the temperature and it reads much hotter than its hot spot should be, you're going to have to adjust the lighting, and there are a few ways to do that we'll explain to you right now. Now, the easiest thing you can do is actually raise the heat lamp up so that it's further away. And when you raise it up, it's further away from the surface of your tank, so of course the temperature is going to be lower. And we find the best way to do this is to actually get one of these adjustable lamp stands that we actually have here at our shop. That way, with just a twist of this knob, you'll be able to adjust the lamp up and down. So all you gotta do is twist this little knob right here, and you can see it loosens it up. That way it can go down or up if you like, and that way you can adjust the temperature really easily, and all you gotta do is twist the knob to tighten it back up, and then you've got it where you want it. Now, if you can't raise your lamp, or if you raise it to the highest it can be and it's still too hot in your tank, you can always downgrade to a lower wattage of the same kind of bulb. For example, if you have a 100 watt bulb usually in your tank and it's starting to read too hot during the summer when it's usually good during the cooler months, you can always downgrade to a 75 watt. But you'll always want to make sure you check the temperature after you downgrade to make sure that you haven't lowered it too much so that it's still hot enough for your reptile. In addition, if you have animals like Uromastyx that during cooler months need 2 heat bulbs, and now it's getting too hot in the summer, sometimes just removing that extra heat bulb will work. In our store here, in our party room, we keep it at a pretty constant temperature during the whole year, so we're able to keep both heat bulbs on Mr. Chewy down here. We're able to keep them on him all year round. But if you find that if you have a tank with 2 heat bulbs and it's getting too hot during the summer, of course, just remove one. We'll always make sure you keep the one that's got if you've got a mercury vapor and like a infrared like we've got here, make sure you keep the mercury vapor because that's got the UVB they need too. So the one we would get rid of if it got too hot in this tank would be the infrared. And of course, always measure the temperature afterwards to make sure it's still hot enough for them without the second heat bulb, as Uromastyx require very high temperatures to thrive. So sometimes you do need that extra heat bulb even in summer, just depending on your house's temperature. Now, while it's always great to be proactive in checking your temperature during the change of seasons, sometimes people just forget to do that. So there's some things that you can look out for, some signs that your reptiles can show that can indicate that they are getting overheated. We'll have Mr. Jack the Rankin's Dragon help us out. So if Jack was always hanging out on this side of the tank, and he never wanted to go over here, and he was always trying to get as far away from the heat bulb as possible, that would be a sign that he was getting too hot in his tank, because he's trying to stay on the coolest side of the tank as he can. Or in the case of snakes, sometimes when they get overheated, they'll actually lay inside their water dishes. That can also be a sign of mites, but it can also be a sign of overheating too. If they want to stay in their water dish on the opposite side of the tank, that's them trying to cool their body down. So that can also be a good sign. Well, I wouldn't say a good sign, a bad sign that your tank is overheated. And those behaviors combined with a lessened appetite, they definitely won't want to eat as much if it's way too hot for them. They won't want to eat very much at all. So that's also another sign that they are overheating. Well, hello there, Jack. He's waving at us today. And if you're ever not sure how hot is too hot for your pet reptile, you can always check out our care sheets on our website that we've got for a wide variety of pet reptiles, and that'll tell you the correct temperature range for them. We hope we were able to help you guys out today, and we hope you all have a great summer.